Was the improvements of the V2 worth the wait? Let's find out. Greetings audience, I'm Boomstick and welcome to my blaster review of the Colonel Wasp Firefly V2 from Monkey Mods. The Colonel Wasp is a injection molded pump action springer that fires half darts and ejects shells. It also features an end strike stock attachment point, which I highly recommend you utilize. There, that's better. The Colonel Wasp Firefly V2 can be bought from Monkey Mods' website, link in the description, for $65 plus shipping, which is fairly cheap for what you're getting. It comes with both a 12 and a 5 kilogram spring. It's supposed to come with 8 shells, although I only have 6, but that might be because I lost 2. I'm unsure at this point, but I'm definitely willing to believe that I just lost 2 of them. And it also comes with 10 Worker Gen 2 high-end short darts. First, let's talk about the assembly, because that is where most of our negatives are going to come from. Firstly, I just want to say that the quality control on these blasters is not good. If you're buying a machined and injection molded blaster, I shouldn't have to sand your parts to make it work. I just don't think that that's good quality control. Also, one of their fixes included changing this piece here, which had a tendency of breaking in the V1 because it was too tight of a fit. So now they made it too loose, so now that you have to glue it in place, which I'm not a fan of that either. I feel like they could have just made it actually fit the barrel or found other way that didn't involve gluing. And of course, one of my big gripes from the V1 is screwing this thing together is such a huge pain. The screw ports in this blasters are not tapped, which means you are tapping it as you're screwing it in together, which makes screwing it together really difficult. That's one of the big problems I have with the V1, except on top of that, they also gave you crappy screws which stripped like crazy. I will say they at least gave you better screws that did not strip while screwing this together. It was still a pain. Now, Monkey Mods has been having issues with parts breaking still, however they have been offering to replace them, and they are apparently aware of it, so I'm assuming that they're going to be having this problem fixed, but just be aware that they've had some fragility issues again. Now let's talk about comfort. I got a couple of gripes here too. One of my gripes being the grip. I'm not sure if it's just because I didn't screw it in all the way, which I think I did, but it's hard to tell since they're not tapped, is that the fact that this grip does shift a little bit. It's not a lot, but it is noticeable, especially when you're firing lots of shots. The other grip I have is this very smooth grip. Now it does have ridges along the bottom for you to hold on to, but this is an incredibly smooth pump grip. As you can see from my V1, I've actually got grip tape on the side of it here to make it easier. So what I tend to do is I tend to wrap a finger around the front in order to get a better prime on it. So they either should have made this a little bit rougher or given a bigger stop on the back here. This blaster's not uncomfortable, but it's not that comfortable either. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle. It's okay as far as comfort goes. But on the plus side, I will say, this is where the negatives end. Let's go to the firing demo, shall we? Firing the Firefly was quite enjoyable. The shells fed and ejected well for the most part, with shots going 100 to 110 feet, which was very impressive. Accuracy was the real surprise. At 75 feet, you should have no issue hitting your target. The FPS wasn't hitting the 200 that Monkey Mods was advertising, however, it would still perform well against other 200 FPS blasters. Now, I didn't test this with the 5 kilogram spring because I really didn't want to take this blaster apart, but that should be getting you around 120 FPS from my understanding. When I was heading into the firing demo, I will admit I had a pretty sour taste in my mouth from the whole assembly process, because that's how much of a bad experience it was. It technically wasn't as bad as the V1, but it wasn't that much better either. But after taking it to the range and putting shots through it, I was impressed. This blaster is firing with lasers. Even though it's not hitting that 200 FPS claim that I was getting, I'm assuming it has something to do with the barrel placement I've gotten here or something or another. I don't know. But it's still getting 100, 110 feet. And very accurate, I might add, which impressed me a lot. A 75-foot shot is going to be easy with the Firefly V2. So let's talk about my final thoughts. Obviously, the main pros are it's pretty powerful and it's very accurate. Now, there's even a little spot here at the tip to put a scar on if you want to make it even more accurate if you need it to be. But honestly, I almost feel like you don't even need one on the end here, which is just that surprising. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know what that other pro is going to be. Shells! The other con is obviously because it uses shell, there's more parts, more things going on, which means you're more likely to run into a problem. One of my more common problems is the shells will go vertical when they're loading into the breech here, making it impossible to properly prime and fire the blaster. You have to go in and adjust the shell to get it back into place. Now, I've had that same problem with the Spring Thunder, so I do think it's just a problem with shell-fed blasters in general, but it's something to keep an eye on, because it kind of feels at least a little bit more common than what my Spring Thunder does, but take that with a grain of salt. And then, obviously, again, if you know me, I'm going to mention that shells aren't for everyone, so the shells might be a con for you, but I mean, come on. They're shells. How can you not love that? So overall, if you have the patience and you're willing to put the time in to get this thing together and working properly, I do actually recommend it. I'll have links down below in the description for where you can purchase your Colonel Wasp Firefly from Monkey Mods. Again, check those links out. There's lots of fun links down below in the description. So yeah, surprisingly, I do think that the V2 Colonel Wasp Firefly is a decent improvement over the V1. There's still more things I'd like to see improved upon it, but it's a good start. Thank you all for watching my blaster overview of the Colonel Wasp Firefly V2 by Monkey Mods. If you want to help support the channel and be one of these lovely people over here, you can check out my Patreon, which, as you guys might know, sticker going to be going out in February. Very excited for that. To be a $5 level Patreon is what you have to be to get a sticker mailed from yours truly. But if you don't want to do Patreon, there's other ways to help support the channel, one of which being liking or commenting. Let me know what you think of the Colonel Wasp Firefly V2 and whether or not you think the assembly is worth the trouble to get the performance that you get out of the Firefly. You can also share this video with somebody who might be interested in the Colonel Wasp Firefly V2. And of course, be subscribed so you can see what we have coming up next. Once again, thank you all for watching. I've been Boomstick, and I'm out.